In April 2025, I plan to circumnavigate the Italian mainland in a campervan. At least the part that looks like a boot. I wanted to drive south along the west coast and then back north along the east coast. I mainly planned to drive along the coast with small detours inland, and I wanted to visit as few campsites as possible and mainly find some nice places to spend the night in my campervan. And you can see here whether I succeeded. So I haven't quite made it to Italy yet. I'm currently at a rest stop somewhere in Switzerland, and I will spend the night here, and tomorrow I'll continue on to Lake Maggiore. After sleeping at a rest stop somewhere in Switzerland last night, I drove along a very nice road towards Italy. Now I'm in Lugano, on Lake Lugano. I included this as a stopover before I drive to Lake Maggiore. When you look at the houses that are right on the lake, I'm always impressed by how many people there are in the world with an incredible amount of money. Meanwhile, I arrived at Lake Maggiore. I spent the last night here at the campsite. Firstly, to fill up the water tank, because I don't really want to be at a campsite for the next 3 weeks. Secondly, to have a proper shower after having been on the road for 2 days to get here. I'll probably be at a campsite occasionally in the next 3 weeks to shower, because the shower in the car is really, really small. It's actually impressive how small it is. This morning it started to rain, and if you believe the weather forecast, then it will get a lot heavier over the next few days. I actually find it quite comfortable in the car and it doesn't bother me, but it does restrict you a bit if you don't want to go for a walk in the rain. I have to say it was a wild ride. I'm quite close to Genoa, and the road here was very hilly. Basically there was just a tunnel after a bridge after a tunnel, up down. All of this in the dark, in the rain, and finally heavy fog. That was exciting. But now I'm at the place that supposedly has a really nice view. But of course I can't see anything right now. Everything is black in front of me. I guess I'll see tomorrow if that was a good choice. I am still in Chiavari on the Mediterranean, and if the weather was good, the view would probably be great. With a lot of imagination you can see the Mediterranean in the background. It's still raining, but not too heavily. However, there's a severe weather warning for this area. And now I'm thinking not to drive step by step along the coast towards the south, but to make a big jump and at least avoid the severe rain warning by getting away. I'll do that, it's no use here. I'm going to set off now towards the Amalfi Coast, close to Naples. The weather is supposed to be a bit better there. It should be about a 7 or 8 hour drive. I'll see if I can manage it today, but spending the next few days up here isn't going to help anyone. And the whole Tuscany area and the stretch of coast that I'll miss, I can always take another look at on my way back, if I have the time, by simply driving through the country again. But I'll see about that then. So, after many hours of driving, I've arrived at the Mediterranean, which you can actually see somewhere between Naples and Sorrento, a little south of Naples, in an empty parking lot. And I think I will spend the night here, and then tomorrow continue south and drive to the Amalfi Coast. But that's enough for today. I think I left at 9 or 10 o'clock, and then it must have been a good 10 hours of travel just to escape the weather. It's still raining a little bit, but it's much better. I have the feeling the holiday can start now. That's it for today. I just came across the information that there is a very special driving ban on the Amalfi Coast. On even days, cars with license plates ending in even numbers are not allowed to drive. I just found out and I was lucky. It's the 15th today and my license plate ends in a 0. That means I can drive today. Isn't it great? It's visually beautiful and at the same time horrible to drive. Anything except the scooter is inappropriate here. But I have to go through now. a few dicey situations. And I won't be going there again with a vehicle like that. It's definitely beautiful, but at times it was very close. But ultimately nothing happened. Then we can carry on. Now I'm taking a short lunch break before I head further south. I've arrived somewhere in the middle of nowhere. I want to stay here tonight. I've driven for another hour or so through the countryside from the Amalfi Coast. At least I'm by the sea. I'm going to test the shower now. That curtain has to be closed, and what's left of the space roughly the area of the wooden thing down there has to be enough to shower in. It's narrow and uncomfortable, but it works. I think all the relevant areas got soap. But comfort is different. A good shower is something else. There's also another way to shower that I heard about on the internet. It's called a dog shower. This thing here that you can just screw onto a normal bottle. Well, that's even worse. Good morning. I had a good enough night, even if some construction work is starting nearby. Today I'm heading towards the southern tip of the boot. I don't know if I'll make it to the southernmost point. It's still a bit of a drive. But anyway, as long as it's fun, I'll give it a go. We'll see. The next night I'll probably end up in a parking lot somewhere. That works quite well. Now that I have had a shower, I can add another night, and then in the next few days I'll go back to a campsite to fill up the water and have a proper shower. Let's see what the day brings. After a couple of hours drive, I've arrived somewhere in southern Italy. I'm standing on the beach with a view of the sea, but you can't see it anymore. It's a bit dark. I've just read the news that severe storms are expected in northern Italy, and that someone is also advising against holidays in Italy, at least in the north. And I'm actually quite happy to be in the south. Tomorrow I'll see what it looks here. At the moment there's not much to see. In the place where I actually wanted to sleep, there was some kind of alarm going off the whole time. I definitely wouldn't have been able to sleep. So I've changed places again. I'll see what it really looks like tomorrow. The parking lot isn't particularly nice for now, but theoretically it's right by the sea. I can't see anything of that at the moment, but I'll see more tomorrow. Good night. Well, the beach is great. And to go to the beach first thing after waking up, that's quite nice. Today, or shortly, I'm going to drive around the southern tip of the Italian mainland. On the way there I found this really nice spot with a great view of exactly this area. It's not quite the south, but it does look quite nice. Or is that Sicily? I just used Google Maps and look, it is already Sicily. Very beautiful. Today I was driving for a couple of hours and I'm glad to have found a nice spot by the sea where I can stay overnight. The route around the southern tip of Italy was pretty much what I had imagined. A nice leisurely drive along the Mediterranean, great scenery, beautiful sea. That was nice. Now there's a bite to eat, but I don't know what yet. And that's it for today. Healthy nutrition is really a problem in a camper van. Cooking fresh, probably possible, but no, it's canned ravioli. That's it for today. Tomorrow maybe I'll go to the beach again. Tomorrow is Good Friday, and I'm thinking about maybe looking for a campsite over the Easter weekend. There will definitely be a lot of people out and about, so I don't have to stress. I can't go north. Well, I could, but I don't think I want to at the moment because of the weather warning. So maybe I'll stay down here for a couple of days. It's a really nice place, but I want to go to a campsite today to have a proper shower, fill up the water, do dishes, do the laundry, and so on. I'll probably stay for 2 nights to see how the severe weather situation develops in the north. It's all over the media at the moment. Flooding in Tuscany and towards Switzerland and the Dolomites with fresh snow. That could definitely affect the rest of my trip. But I have enough time. Let's see. I spent one night at the campsite, filled up with fresh water, drained the old water, did some laundry. Now I can carry on. Now I'm prepared for the next few days. The next days I'll be heading towards the heel of the boot, but in small steps, because there are still weather warnings in the north. I wouldn't want to go there now anyway, and the weather here is great, which means I'll take my time and relax in the south for now, and observe how things develop in the north and move forward here along the coast in small steps. The tank is full, as always actually. I usually fill up when a third or half is gone. I find it an incredibly calming feeling to know that the tank is full and that you can drive very far away at any time without having to worry about fuel levels. I've arrived in Taranto and found a really nice parking spot right by the sea. I don't know, it's only 2 o'clock. Maybe I'll drive on today because there's nothing else except a nice spot by the sea. Maybe I'll stay here, I don't know yet. Interestingly, there are also houses in the best locations that are still under construction. They could be really nice, but obviously they stopped building them a few years ago. I think I'll drive a bit further, where there isn't so much rubbish. It probably won't be that close to the sea, but whatever. I drove another hour and found something else. This is also nice.
Frohe Ostern! Dennis, viel Spaß in Italien. Weißt du was? Wir fahren heute Nacht in die Berge. Dennis, die Berge sind ganz nah in Italien.
have found another nice spot right behind another camper, but I don't think anyone lives there anymore. It still smells. Who knows how long or short ago this happened. Let's hope that the people are well. I don't even want to imagine what a stress that is. It's a German vehicle, so far from home, that thing burns down, and even if you don't get hurt, how annoying it is. All the stuff you have to take care of.
Free,
Woke up exactly in time for sunrise over Albania. Although it's very beautiful here, I am driving further north today. Destination is a place just above Bari, that's about 2.5 to 3 hours from here. It's very beautiful here, but at some point I have to move on. I've left out a few things in the north, for example Tuscany, which I still want to see. After that I also want to go to Lake Garda and the Dolomites, although we'll have to check whether it snowed there. And even though it seems like I still have plenty of time, I think that time is relatively short for all the things I still want to see. So I'll slowly move on, hopefully to beautiful places to stay overnight. And I also hope that the storms in the north haven't made it too difficult to visit and that no roads are closed. But I'll probably find out when I get there. I've now arrived where I wanted to go, but it's far too loud in the middle of the city. Not really a good place either, not suitable for a campervan at all. So I'm going to drive further now. Shortly after setting off, I saw a mountain in the distance, and the place I wanted to go was supposed to be a bit higher up. I had hoped that that place would be a place on the mountain I was seeing, and that's exactly how it turned out to be. The mountain that I could see the whole time. I've now parked on the edge of it, and the view isn't bad at all. Further north we go. This time I'll be going along the coast, but then heading inland because I'm supposed to go to Tuscany, which I skipped at the beginning. That means, of course, that I'll miss a whole section of the coast on the east side, but that's better than skipping Tuscany. And driving down again and catching up on the missed section, I don't think it's worth it. I'll mainly drive through the village again and skip the motorway. That means it will take a bit longer, of course. So it'll take about 7 hours from here to Tuscany. If you take the motorway, then it'll take about 5 hours. But I probably won't drive the whole 7 hours in one go, but will spend another night somewhere in between and then be in Tuscany sometime tomorrow. Every time I drive on roads like this, I think it might be too narrow for the car. What if another car comes? Maybe the road isn't made for driving over it with such a big car. But then I remember that I drove along the Amalfi Coast with this. It simply can't get any worse. And then I'm relaxed. Had a short break, let's move on. I drove a lot further today than I wanted, or let's say than I intended. I think I've been on the road for about 7, probably a bit more than 7 hours. And I'm now north of Lake Bolsena. I actually wanted to stay overnight right by the lake. There is a place there that should cost a bit of money, but to be honest, it wasn't that nice. And I would have done it if the weather had been any good, but now it started to rain. That means I probably won't go out anyway. That's why I'm standing here in an ugly parking lot in some industrial area. But the good thing is that I'm south of Tuscany and can start my tour through Tuscany tomorrow. That's it for today. Off to Tuscany. I've been thinking back and forth for a while now about what I should do, Lake Garda or the Dolomites, and at the moment neither of them appeals to me. I would much rather go back to the sea, calm down a little bit, and maybe not drive for a day, and then I'll think about what I'm going to do next. Well, I had to avoid the boat there. So when I get to the sea, I think about what I feel like doing next, but somehow the motivation isn't there right now. So now I'll drive to the sea and I'm looking forward to that. Yesterday I was thinking about how tight such a van is for 2 people, but there are 4 of them. I suspect that the beach is being prepared for the high season, so that it's nice and flat and one lounger after the other can stand in boring uniform rows. So when the excavators aren't busy working, I actually find it very nice here. That's why I've decided to stay a second night before heading off to the Dolomites tomorrow, and from there to Lake Garda and then to Lake Como. I think the 3 weeks here in Italy will be over by then. And now I'm going for a little walk on the beach before I sit down again in the shady campervan and read a bit. The weather has gotten worse. The living area battery is empty after 2 days of standing still. Time to move on.
chasing echoes, chasing stars. We remember who we are. Hold on, carry us abide on the edge, wayward dreams sky. Time begins when the heart is free in the dawn, in the dawn of eternity.
I'm in the Dolomites and have decided to go to a campsite for the night. I have emptied my used water again, and now I have 50 liters of fresh water in the tank. That should be enough for a week if I don't shower every day. The plan now is actually to drive another day through the Dolomites, and then I'll go to Lake Garda, and from there to Lago de Iseo, then to Lake Como, and from there I'll go back home. Passes up, passes down. Google Maps really doesn't find the easiest way. Maybe the most beautiful, but not the easiest. So after a few thousand meters of altitude that I did today, I have now reached the place where I want to sleep tonight, and I must say, the view is awesome.
Free flowing, sailing with the wind, not knowing how this story ends. Kind and brave, I know you'll find a way. Live your truth, and good will come to you.
Outside it has started to rain a little. Today temperatures were somewhat over 10 degrees Celsius, now much cooler. And here in the mountains I think I am at 1700 meters. It's drizzling outside and cold. In here I've turned on the heating. There's chili on the stove. That's really cozy. Today I'm leaving the Dolomites and drive to Lake Garda, where I'll stay for one night, and then I'll head towards Lago di Iseo and Lake Como. Now I've arrived at Lake Garda and found a great spot for the night. There's still a lot of traffic at the moment, but I hope that later there will be less traffic and a bit quieter. I moved the car about 5 meters because now I have a better view while reading, and also there is a 120 meter slope, and I don't think that I could sleep very well knowing that I stand 1 meter next to that slope. Maybe I could, but I'm not taking chances. arrived at Lago di Iseo now. I'm going to see what I can do here and how to get to the lake. Maybe I can rent a bike. I have a parking space not directly by the lake. It isn't very nice, but there's a supermarket right next door and I can stock up on a few supplies, which I just did. I'm in Piani Resignelli. The place is pretty unspectacular, apart from the fact that it's at 1,400 meters, but you don't really get a great view. Well, maybe up those mountains. Anyway, but I'm near a little hike that should lead to a nice viewpoint over Lake Como, which I'll do tomorrow morning, assuming it doesn't rain, which it has been up until now. I'm on my way to the viewpoint on Lake Como. Lake Como is also the last part of my Italy tour. After that I'll only spend one more night somewhere on the lake and also go to a campsite to clean the car a bit before this trip will be over. This is Belvedere Parco Valentino, a skywalk, and the view is amazing. I can only recommend it. You shouldn't have too much fear of heights. When I think back on the last few weeks and the highlights, then I have to say the Amalfi Coast is certainly one of them. Visually stunning, but a disaster in terms of driving. I would never do it again in a 6-meter long vehicle. Maybe in a small Fiat, or even better with a scooter. But also sunrises and sunsets over the sea. The Dolomites were impressive. And Lake Garda and Lake Como are just very beautiful places. But I actually like the south best, simply because it is less touristy, it is a bit more relaxed, fewer people, and still very beautiful. But that's it from me. Ciao.